Hi there, this is John Wilkinson again from History Made Easier, with a presentation that takes a look at 1923 and its part in the rise to power of Hitler and the Nazis. Something that I don't think is given enough significance in explanations of Hitler's rise to power, and so is one of those ways to make your work stand out and lift your work to an A star. Now, Germans had been through so much. Defeat in 1918, the Treaty of Versailles in 1919, the occupation of the Ruhr and hyperinflation in 1923, and the crisis that finally broke Weimar, the Great Depression. And so that alone makes 1923 important. It was another year of humiliation with German territory occupied by the hated French, which served to show how weakened the German army was after the Treaty of Versailles. It couldn't protect Germany. And it was another year of economic disaster for Germans, with hyperinflation resulting from Germany's passive resistance. But it was important for Hitler's standing too, and not just within the Nazi Party, but amongst the far right as a whole. There were other far-right parties, and there was Hindenburg. So Hitler had rivals. Hitler was under pressure from his own supporters to act. One of his SA commanders warned, "The day is coming when I won't be able to hold the men back. If nothing happens now, they'll run away from us." So part of Hitler's thinking was that even if the putsch failed, at least he and the Nazis would be seen as the leading force of right-wing nationalists. And even though the putsch did fail, and it failed badly, it was very poorly organised, Hitler knew his trial was an opportunity to present himself as a national figure, a national hero. And it did, attracting press from across Germany and beyond. Hitler had the platform he had wanted for so long, a platform to present his views and those of his party, and to show the weakness of those in power. And boy, did he seize his opportunity. His opening statement lasted 4 hours. Never complain about a school assembly again. He readily admitted his intent to overthrow the state, but declared there is no such thing as high treason against the traitors of 1918. And his closing speech, though spoken directly to the judges, was for Germany to hear. "It is not you, gentlemen, who pass judgment on us," he said. "You may pronounce us guilty 1,000 times over, but the goddess at the eternal court of history will smile and tear to tatters the brief of the state prosecutor and the sentence of this court, for she acquits us." So, the tactical failure of the putsch, indeed the humiliation of the putsch, was turned into a propaganda triumph. And once in power, the new calendar of holidays introduced by the Nazis included the anniversary of the putsch, November the 9th, and that included a silent march through Munich. 9 of the 10 accused were found guilty, but they only served a maximum of 5 years imprisonment, or sentenced to a maximum of 5 years imprisonment, because they were eligible for parole after serving just 6 months. proof of the traditional elite's support of Hitler. Ludendorff, despite being at the front of the march, was acquitted. The hero of World War I couldn't be found guilty of treason. And while serving his sentence, Hitler used his time to write his book, Mein Kampf, or My Struggle. Although not widely read, the book became widely known and talked about. In it, Hitler set out his criticisms of the November criminals and the Weimar Republic, as well as his own vision of Germany's future. And Hitler's struggle would now be associated with Germany's struggle. The important thing, though, was that because of the trial, Hitler was now seen as a figure of some importance. He was seen as the leader of the nationalist right. As I said, the trial had turned what had been really a disaster for Hitler into a triumph. In fact, later, Hitler himself would regard the failure of the putsch as a piece of luck, because the Nazis simply weren't ready for power at the time, and they would have quickly failed. The failure of the putsch was also an important turning point in another way, though. For while in prison, Hitler decided to win power through the ballot box. Instead of working to achieve power by armed coup, he told a party loyalist, "We shall have to hold our noses and enter the Reichstag against the Catholic and Marxist deputies. If outvoting them takes longer than outshooting them, at least the result will be guaranteed by their own constitution. Sooner or later, we shall have a majority. And after that, Germany." Hitler was now set on a course to use democracy in order to destroy democracy. And though it would take a few years to put in place, when he was released from prison on December the 20th, 1924, Hitler set about putting a party structure in place, with 3 layers: party branches for each region, an intermediate layer of districts, and local branches. In the cities, there would even be street cells or blocks. It was all geared to recruit members and fight elections. A number of party organisations were also set up to appeal to specific interest groups. For example, the Nazi Students' League, the Teachers' League, the Union of Nazi Lawyers, and the Women's League. The Nazis needed women's votes. And the Youth League, set up before 1923, was renamed the Hitler Youth. And it's also worth noting that the Nazis were the only party in Germany to run classes in the evening to train members in the art of public speaking. They were determined to be as organised as they possibly could be. Hitler was now determined to be the undisputed leader of not just the Nazi Party, but the nationalist right wing as a whole. And much as he promised to adopt the electoral route to power, in 1925 he enlarged the SA and set up the SS. He also adopted the leadership principle, or Führerprinzip, which made his authority and control over the Nazi Party complete. Indeed, Hitler was the Nazis' trump card, the strong leader that Germany needed. He was seen as a man devoted to Germany. As I've already noted, Mein Kampf, or My Struggle, was not just his struggle, but Germany's struggle too. A cult was built around his personality, helped by Goebbels, as well as Hitler's own tremendous self-belief and speech-making skills. Here was the man of destiny. Hitler was portrayed as Germany's saviour, Germany's last hope, and he promised the two things most Germans wanted to hear: to end unemployment and to restore Germany as a great nation by overthrowing the Treaty of Versailles. And so, another presentation really geared to make your work stand out, to lift your work to an A-star level. I hope you're able to make good use of it. But don't forget, you'll find more detail in my ebooks on Amazon. And you can see if I have tutorial slots still available, if you want to make more use of me. Just contact me at historymadeeasier@gmail.com. I'll sort a price out that suits your parents, if I have a slot available, of course. But for now, I will, as always, thank you for listening. Cheers.